So I went out to visit him. That was NBA All-Star weekend. I went out there with my camera and started shooting content of him. I went out there with a one-way ticket and it was like, hey, look, I'm gonna go hang out with you. I'm either gonna find someone really cool to do work with there at NBA All-Star Weekend with all this content, or I'm gonna just like be on the corner shooting photos for people until I get enough money to fly back home.
Hey guys, welcome to the How I Got Here podcast. I'm your host, Travis Waters, and I created this podcast to share stories that are worth telling, whether it's about someone that went from zero to hero, hero to zero, or simply something in between. On today's episode, we're talking to Zaire Williams of Exclusive. We talk about how he originally went to school and had the interest for architecture, how that flipped into content creation, and now the CEO of Exclusive Talent. Let's go ahead and jump into our conversation with him now, and I hope you guys enjoy. Hey guys, it's me, Travis, with the How I Got Here podcast. On today's episode, we're joined by Zaire Williams, and if you don't know him by name or by face, then we're going to go ahead and just cut right to it. High level, quick, short and sweet overview. Where are you right now in 2025? What are you working on? What's your roles? As quick as a LinkedIn preview as we can get.
Yeah. So my LinkedIn preview is building exclusive media. I have to spell it out. It's XCLSV on LinkedIn and on our branding, but it's pronounced exclusive. I'm the CEO founder of Exclusive Media.
And how many people see that and they go like, what does that stand for? Or they're trying to figure out what the acronym is. Is that something,
They just
is
hit
it
me
like a
straight with
daily
the
thing for
XC.
you?
Yeah, they hit me with the XCLSV every time. So now it's like I have to start off with exclusive and say, well, it looks like XCLSV, I know, but this is what it is. It's a good conversation starter for sure.
Perfect icebreaker. You confuse them right off the bat so they can ask you a
Exactly,
question and goes
exactly,
from there.
exactly.
So how I like to start these episodes off is going as far back that your memory allows of the very first idea you had when it was either this is what I want to be when I grow up or this is what I want to do when I grow up. What was that first idea you can remember and about how old were you?
Yeah, so I think first idea is architect. I want to be an architect. My mother was in law school, so my mother had me very young. So my dad was driving me to her law school. She went to Seton Hall University in Newark, and there was just like these really cool buildings. I thought they were really cool. I wanted to design them. My father is super entrepreneurial and said, "Hey, look, everyone's always gonna need a house. Like that's a job that you can like it'll always be around, reliable." And that was kind of like all throughout high school. I mean, middle school and high school. That was the plan to be an architect.
And so how long of you growing up was it like, yeah, this is always what I want to do, and this is what I want to go to school for? How long did that last before it shifted, and what did it shift to?
Yeah, so I mean, it was always like architecture all the way through. Like I was looking at the best architecture programs for college. I played basketball in high school, so it was also like, okay, I need to also get a scholarship for basketball. So it was like, what schools could provide a scholarship, had basketball in an architecture program, and that's really how I started my list. And then I realized, okay, you're not, 6'3", you're barely 6 foot. So the D1 scholarships chopped down. So it was like, okay, now I'm looking at D2, D3 opportunities here. Didn't really have architecture programs. So I ended up switching to civil engineering, which I thought was probably like the closest to still being able to build some buildings or be a part of that process. And I went to school for that.
So how early was that thought process in combining your athleticism, your basketball prowess, your ability to, your fascination with architecture? Was that like ninth grade high school that you're like, okay, I'm going to do this for 4 years and I'm going to go to school for this? Or is this kind of towards the end of high school?
What, the basketball or
Of,
sports?
of, of planning to get a scholarship in college for basketball to further your interest in architecture?
Yeah, so I mean, the way I grew up, so very inner city, right? My parents had me at 18. They were the first to go to college. It was always get a scholarship if you plan on going to college because it's very expensive. So I mean, as early as I remember, my dad was like practicing football, basketball. Like you need to get a scholarship or college is probably out of the picture. So that was always the plan. Literally just being like crafted to do that. And then I think architecture was just like, okay, this is something I can study while I'm there. And then obviously that formed into civil engineering eventually.
Was the switch from architecture to civil engineering based on the scholarship offers you were getting were at schools that like excelled in civil engineering, but maybe didn't have an architecture degree or maybe wasn't a highly rated degree? How did that decision come
Yeah.
to be?
Yeah, they just didn't have architecture programs. I didn't realize so many schools didn't provide that. It was actually like towards when I was making the decision in college, it was, do I want to go walk on somewhere, D1, play some basketball? Some coaches were like, oh, you might have a scholarship second year. We'll see what it is, but I can do architecture. And then the other was like, I got a scholarship at a school that had a pretty solid civil engineering program. So I went to St. Michael's College in Vermont. It was D2 basketball, so I got to school, go to school for free, and they had like a joint engineering program with the University of Vermont. So it would be a five-year program. The first 3 years I was at St. Michael's College, and then the last two I would be full time at University of Vermont. So that's the one I took. I really just went where the money was.
No, I mean that makes perfect sense. Now,
Yeah.
Vermont was the ending in the University of Vermont, was that still civil engineering, or did you have the opportunity to switch to the architecture if they even had that option?
They didn't have architecture. So what ended up happening was, um, I mean, loved my time in college. Um, Decided, I took an internship after my fourth year, so it was a 5-year program. Decided like I hated engineering, like could not see myself like working that type of like 9 to 5, but that, button up, going into the office, just like CADs or just doing the like outlines basically all day. Hated it. So my fifth year, I actually just like started going to advisors and figure out. By then, it was too late to switch to program, but I started to take entrepreneurial classes then, and it was like, okay, what can I do here? Like, what's something else? This was at the time of Gary Vee putting out content all the time. So I was like so into social media. Like, I'm so young, I can do it. Let's crush it. Like that whole mindset. So that's really when the brain started to, that's really when I started looking at, okay, what am I doing after college? Once I realized this whole plan I had up until this point wasn't really gonna be something I was gonna enjoy for the rest of my life.
So you said it was 3 years prior to moving to Vermont, and that was another two
Uh-huh.
years. Is that right?
Yep, exactly.
So the 3 years prior to going to Vermont, and actually taking those entrepreneurial courses, and I'm so surprised I actually got that word out without fumbling on it because that word hates
Yeah.
me. Uh, but that first college trip, the 3 year stint, was there any inclination of I'm doing? Because I understand the relation, civil engineering, architecture, I can understand that. But when you're doing the civil engineering because you want to become an architecture eventually, was that always the I'm doing this to do this, or were there other things prior to the Vermont courses that were kind of saying, well, oh, maybe I can do this instead of this? Like how much did you veer away from the I want to be an architecture?
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, I completely flipped the switch after high school. Like once I made the decision to do civil engineering, truthfully, my mind was just like making it to college. That was a highlight for me. Once I got to college, like was not thinking about my career after at all. So like completely shut down. It was like, okay, pass these classes, make sure you can play basketball and like just enjoy college. Again, it was just like a such a big milestone for like myself and my family. That's really where it was. It really wasn't until I kind of got that culture shock in the internship where I was like, okay, like life is about to happen. This whole system where you thought you were going to graduate, make a lot of money, engineer, like civil engineer, living in the city, doing that, like you really actually don't want that life, right? Before I graduate or before I got to college, it was okay, just don't fail out of college and then your life is set. You're gonna have a job, good job, you're gonna make good money, you're gonna be good. It wasn't until I like actually started to taste like work life where I was like, okay, this is something I need to kind of take a little bit more control of.
And those 3 years, were you playing basketball that entire time?
Yeah, yeah. So I played the whole 5 years. I mean,
Oh,
anyone
you
who's
played for
watching.
Vermont as well?
So I was able to still play. Very confusing. I was able to still play. So I redshirted my first year. I was still able to play on the Division II St. Michael's College team while going to the University of Vermont. So I was like, they were like 7 minutes apart from each other.
Oh.
So it was like same in the same area. That's kind of how like they had the joint programs. But yeah, I was still playing on the team, but still like attending all classes and all my friend groups and everything was at the University of Vermont.
Something I love most about the show that I've created is and I mention this every time it happens, where I love you call it like a small world scenario where something that you're saying just sparks like a memory in my head, so that's super comparable. And
Love
so
it.
on that subject, what I was thinking of is, so I played 4 years of football in high school, but I was also
Okay.
simultaneously doing drama and doing the acting route and things. And my senior year, they built a brand new school for the arts that was maybe like a 20-minute drive away. And it's like, well, there's no sport program there. I just invested like 3 years of my life into athletics.
Hmm.
Granted, I rode the pine most of the time, but still, I invested 3 years into this, and I
Right.
did weightlifting and all the other sports, and I'm like, well, I mean, my career, that's what I've been doing, is going for the acting thing, but I'm not going to give up on the 3 year journey to do the fourth
Yeah.
year, and so I was like,
Yep.
I can't do it, and then somebody, exactly what you said, found a loophole where he got to go to the art school and still play
Hmm.
football for my high school,
Hmm.
and I was
Hmm.
so mad that like
Yeah.
nobody told me that was a thing. So the people, like, I guess, I mean, it's not your teammates, like it wasn't anything like it's like whatever, like you go to that school for school and you come here to play, like I'm sure they
Yeah.
didn't care about it, right?
No, I mean they actually loved it actually because my St. Michael's College was probably 3,000 people. The University of Vermont was like 15. So I was the kid on the basketball team that was like I had the house at University of Vermont, so they just like would be with me all weekend. So it was kind of a win-win for them as well, I would say.
So we do the 3 years, we do basketball, we still continue basketball, we're now in University of Vermont, and we're now for those first 3 years, you're saying you're kind of just the traditional college mindset of just, I'm just gonna enjoy my life. I'm gonna play basketball, do what I love to do, while taking courses seriously enough to not fail them to still be eligible to play basketball.
Right.
Now we're at Vermont, and now you're like, okay. So I know you mentioned there was a culture shock. What was the shocking part? Was it the difference in size? What got you to the point that kicked in that extra gear of, okay, I'm nearing the end of this path. I need to figure out what happens next.
Yeah, so because everyone I got into college with, I did the 5 years, right? So everyone I went to school with, they hit the real world before me. So I was calling back to my friends and like, hey, how are things going? And they're like, dude, it sucks out here, man. Like, I wish I was back in college. Like, I have this to take care of. Here's the job. This is what I do. And that's really, I was like, well, this is gonna be me in a year, right? And I know I don't really like what I tasted over the summer. Let me see if I can figure something out beforehand. I was really at that point, my senior year, my 5th year was like, can I figure out something sustainable in the entrepreneurial world so I don't even have to try to find a job um, going in like once I graduate. So really, it was just the endless phone calls and getting in contact with people who already graduated, and they were just like, "Hey, man, this whole real world thing is like not that fun. You should try to." Well, how we did it, like we enjoyed college, but like I wish like they kept telling me, "Oh, I wish I would have done more in my last year to kind of figure it out," because now I'm just kind of stuck in this cycle.
Do you have you seen the Adam Sandler movie Billy Madison?
Yes, of course.
So the meme, the scene that just popped into my head is when the kid comes up to him, the kindergartner. He's like, "I can't wait to be as old as you, Billy," and then he just like grabs him by the cheeks and he's like, "For the love of God, never
Yes.
grow up. Don't say
Yep.
that." So that seems like
Yep.
that's what they were doing to you. Stay in
Exactly
school
what
as
it
long as you
was.
can.
Yep.
Oh
Yep.
man.
They saved me. They saved me for sure.
So then you're like, oh, well, they clearly aren't having the greatest time. I don't want to be in their shoes. They're telling me
Mhm.
about this, so let me actually start kicking myself into gear. Now, were the entrepreneurial elements actual courses, or was that just purely an internship? How did that play out?
Yeah, so honestly, like my father, credits to him, and if he's gonna listen to this and he's gonna hold this over my head for the rest of my life, is he had the initial bug, right? He's always been very entrepreneurial. He owned a creative studio, he did photography, videography, so he's always been like trying to make something happen. We used to watch Shark Tank on Sundays, like he just like was so locked in. So we've always had that. But for me it was I felt like I could do whatever I kind of wanted to as far as like once I put my mind to something I can do it. So he kind of instilled that into me really early. And then just I think the structure of it and the understanding of it really truly it was Gary V world. And then my teachers at the time I forget had a professor that I got very close with. my senior year. And, I was starting to test ideas and concepts, and he kind of nurtured that for me. So that was my real taste into just like, oh, here's not an idea like a lemonade type, like lemonade stand type idea to like, okay, this is how you're going to want to structure this. And you want to think about it, your business plan, like those types of things is really when I started to get uh, acclimated to that type of that concept of entrepreneurial or entrepreneurship.
What was the timeline between you finishing Vermont officially and then you starting exclusive? What gap do we have between there?
Yeah, so I want to say I officially trademark exclusive September of 2017. And it evolved a ton. So initially, again, I'm a plug Gary Vee 1,000 times. I was really into that world. So I was creating content right out of college. And my brother will say this too. I graduated, came home, bought a camera, or my dad actually had a camera. He had camera equipment already. And then I just started shooting videos for people, right? Like, who was the guy that used to follow Gary Vee all the time? And one of his first people when he started doing the blogs,
I
I
think,
forget his name.
well, I know his brother did a lot of the stuff for him, but I think it's after the fact that he brought his brother along.
I forget
Uh,
there was someone who like would just record everything for him.
yeah,
And then I'll remember after this call. But yeah, so I started to shoot video content. Found some guy who like wanted me to shoot videos for him in New York City at his club or bar, and I started doing recap videos from there. That turned into like music videos and photo shoots. I was shooting weddings and like exclusive wasn't trademarked then. I was just getting into the creative space. And then the idea at the time was, hey, these influencers, it's crazy now. Like I like the way that we have the structure. Now I remember, I mean, this was my thought process then. Hey, these influencers, these people on social media with this content, like they need to get managed. I can create content for them, get them while they're really young, or like, don't have a really big following, manage their deals, and like this could be like my plan. So that was the initial idea. So really, if you look at, exclusives trademark and registration. It's actually exclusive talent. Because the idea was I wanted to bring in creators or influencers at the time and like create content for them. Whether it was an artist, I would shoot all their videos and do all their photo shoots and like not own them, but like I manage them, right? Same thing with like
yeah.
I had a dancer at the time, I had an actor, had a comedian, like I had a roster of individuals. And that was the initial idea. September 2017, we trademarked it, had a team around me. I thought this was the plan. I thought that's what we were gonna do.
So so I understand that exclusive changed a lot since you just creating videos for other companies, other brands. What other either whether it's during or before what I call brain babies, what other brain babies were kind of popping in the noggin that was something that you thought of like, oh, I could do this, and then it was something that either you thought through it enough and you're like, it's not going to work out, or maybe you even tried it and it didn't work out, and that's why it got you into the video content creation, or was that always the idea out of Vermont?
No, so I think when I was in school, the project I was taking on was this app called Foodie, which was I think it was Foodie, something similar to that, where it was an Uber Eats for college students. And I was like, hey, if how can we just localize this to individuals who are on campus? If I'm in a dorm room and I'm going to McDonald's, can I flag, hey, I'm going to McDonald's, and everyone in my dorm room can see that I'm there, and then they can just add their order to my order and I could just bring home to my dorm. They could just meet me at my dorm and then I can get paid. That was the original concept, or that was my first like idea. I did got a logo and all that. I was using that as my like project throughout my senior year, and then I kind of hit the roadblock of like, wait, I don't know how to code anything. Like I can't build a product here, and it costs a lot to build a product. I didn't know the roadblocks there, so I just kind of was like, all right, this is cool, but like, what can I control? And then I could shoot content, so ended up doing that.
So since 2017 to today, we have an 8 year span here of exclusive growing. During the time, which I'm sure you are uh, overwhelmed with all the well, not overwhelmed, but you're having a lot of time focused on exclusive because there's so much. You're managing all these things, doing all this stuff. Are there still brain babies that are popping in every once in a while, or are you so tunnel visioned into exclusive that like there's no space left to have like a, oh hey, that's a pretty good idea. I wonder if that exists yet.
Yeah, I do. I have one brain baby that is still under the exclusive umbrella and which is still on the roadmap. Um, yeah, so I mean, do you want me to bring that up now? Like what that is,
If
how
you, I
does it
mean, if
work?
you haven't told a single soul on planet Earth, you
No.
might as well give me an exclusive feature here.
Yeah, yeah, here it is. So yeah, let me just so college, right? Graduated, got back home, started doing the video thing. I actually connected with an individual, Justin Kittredge from a company called iSlide. They're like customizable slides down in Boston. I met him at like NBA All-Star Weekend again. I was just hustling, shooting content, shot him a DM, said, "Hey, I could shoot content for you." Um, think one thing led to another. He ended up bringing me on as like a creative director for them in Boston. So I picked up, moved to Boston in like a week's time. Didn't really have like an apartment or anything, and knew some friends that lived down there, so stayed on the couch. Eventually ended up getting a three-bedroom. And by then I had some people in my network. I've been talking about being an entrepreneur and like posting and all that stuff for the last couple of years or a few years prior. So I invited them out to Boston. I said, "Hey, look, man, I'm working on this thing." I still had exclusive while I was working at iSlide. I still had exclusive. Like I was working on that. I still wanted to build that, but I want the experience from iSlide. I invited them out. I said, "Hey, like I got this place. We can all work here. We're all entrepreneurial. I can help you build your business. You can help me build mine. Like we can just have a very cool energy here, right? We just had like this incubator, right, in Boston, um, and I got people to bite. So I had two friend or a good friend, David DeGenova, and his girlfriend came and moved in with me. We had another friend, Colin Stamps, who moved in with me. And then at the time, I had like interns work with me that were coming in and staying on the couch. So we had like a three-bedroom apartment in Boston, and we were just grinding every morning. We wake up, all of us working on our things. We'd have brainstorming sessions. We, do things together, just kind of like figure out how we can help each other out. Some of us tried to work with one another. But that whole concept to me, like that was a huge curve for my career. Just being around them, being locked in, just having people that, we can talk about just and not always the X's and O's, but just like the whys, right? Like why are we doing this? What's the end goal? What is this whole thing life called, and like what's our purpose and all that. Like it was really great to be building something and seeing other people build. You learn like good and bad habits from other people. You figure out what you want to do. So that concept to me is what we called at that point like the exclusive house. um where we are right now and kind of like the end goal is I want to get back to that. I want to be able to buy houses, have people out of college or people even out of high school who are still trying to figure out what they want to do, be able to go into a house like that that's curated to help them figure out their why, their purpose, but then also give them the tools and the resources to say, okay, like this is how you do it. And you want to be a streamer, here we have a setup for you downstairs. Here's how you do this. Here's how you market yourself. Here's how you create content. So we can teach them like, this, like it's looks pretty, but it's not, right? It's like, yeah, have them really see, okay, this is really tough. You're gonna have hard nights, but then have a support system around them to do that and surround them with other individuals that are doing something either at the same stage or earlier or later to provide that guidance. That's where that's the next project for me after we do something good here because we need the capital to do that, right? So that's where we are right now with the current exclusive business that we're in.
So, since Exclusive started crushing it and you are fully focused, all brain cells are being directed towards this, have you ever had the former you of the architecture side of that interest? Has that ever been like circulating, or once that died and you focused on the content side back in 2017, has that been dead ever since, or does that ever pop in and be like, you know what, I feel like because this is crushing it so much, maybe I can figure out a way to dip my toes into both pools at the same time?
Yeah, so I think it's less of the passion for that because I still love like the design elements, and every time I drive by houses now, I love that to see that and try to like
Yeah.
I go on open houses very very often just to kind of like walk around and go and just see what's going on there. Um, for me, it wouldn't be a business. I think like that's ideally would be a very cool hobby for me. Like I want to be involved with eventually being able to design my house, right? Design the house, the exclusive house that's there, like be a part of the process. I don't think I want to do it as a job or anything like that, but I think there's definitely a lot of interest still there for sure.
Well, that's why I kind of went to that question, because you're saying about this exclusive house that if this is something that's part of exclusive and actually comes to fruition, and it's not just and it gets so successful that you have one, now you have two, now you have three, now you have like 10
Yep.
houses. Or I don't know if you know much about Mr. Beast in North Carolina. The only reason I know this is because one of my good friends from high school is one of his good friends up there, that
Mm.
he essentially has like a small city of houses where all of his creators are like, they all live in this like Pleasantville like place. And so I'm just kind of like
I
imagining
have
that
heard
where,
that. Yeah.
yeah, you have
Maybe,
like,
maybe that's how everything ties back in. That'd be very cool.
so yeah, you still get the design house, you still get the
Exactly.
build,
I'm
but
definitely gonna
it's
have someone check my, my sketches because I'm definitely not an expert at architecture, but I can have the idea. Give me like some Legos and say this is what I want it to look like, and
just,
have someone like officially draft that up for me. That's kind of that's
I
someplace
wonder
you
how many people that have the drafting skill set get people to show them just like a
can.
handful of like five Lego pieces, like, please
Yeah.
make this.
Yeah. Give me
Oh
some
man.
Play-Doh, some Legos. I'll make something cool happen for sure.
So we've kind of gone through from early stage of, because you are being surrounded by the entrepreneurial spirit. I'm going to keep saying that word as many times
You're
as
doing it well. You're
possible.
crushing it. Yep.
Gold star for the day. Because you're surrounded by that, because that's always kind of been in your blood. Going from that to wanting to do architecture, to then playing basketball, to going to civil engineering, to all the way now to where we are, not just today with exclusive, but eventually creating the Mr. Beast like exclusive
Hmm.
city. Um,
Hmm.
the entire timeline here, there's a lot of events that you were in control of, and there's a lot of things that you're not in control of. All of these things we call like a butterfly effect. So if you were to attribute one specific butterfly effect that happened, whether it was in your control or outside of your control, through your entire life so far, that got you to where you are today, which individual event do you credit the most to that?
Ooh. Um, I would have to say my brother deciding to pick up and move to drop out of college, pick up and move to Los Angeles. Um, And the reason why is because I'm the oldest of three, very close to my brothers. He actually works with me now at Exclusive. He leads our like partnerships. He I graduated at the same time. Well, he decided to drop out. I was figuring things out. He was also like he's very entrepreneurial, just like me. He decided he wanted to go to LA. He was in fashion and wanted to do something in LA. Very like not okay by my parents' standards. They hated it. He picked up and left. I at the time really wasn't doing, I was still shooting the videos and everything, had a little bit of capital, not anything crazy, but I decided I wanted to go out and visit him because he was struggling out there. He really was just like living in an Airbnb with some other people and like trying to figure out how he was going to eat and things like that. So I went out to visit him. That was NBA All-Star weekend. I went out there with my camera and started shooting content of him. I went out there with a one-way ticket and it was like, hey, look, I'm gonna go hang out with you. I'm either gonna find someone really cool to do work with there at NBA All-Star Weekend with all this content, or I'm gonna just like be on the corner shooting photos for people until I get enough money to fly back home. And then that's actually how I ended up meeting Justin Kittredge from H.I.G.H, which kicked off the Boston exclusive house world. Because I went and I was just DMing people. I actually was connecting with him, I think, through my coach at the time at St. Michael's a while ago, but nothing too crazy. So I DM'd him and said, "Hey, I'm in town for All Star Weekend. Can I follow you around? Like, I have a camera. I can follow you around, shoot a ton of content for me." DM me back 5 minutes later. Where are you? Meet me here. Pinned me a spot. Met up with him, and I did like an NBA All Star like celebrity event. I shot videos and photos for. Hey, sorry. Shot videos and photos for, and then that's kind of like he loved my work, and then he ended up asking me to come work. He flew me down to Boston after that, and then that's kind of how everything kicked off. So my brother's blind ambition kicked it, really pushed everything into gear for me.
Is that something that, because I know you say he works with you now with exclusive, is that something that you've like ever brought up to him, or is him watching this episode gonna like be like, oh, I never knew that, like that he attributes this and this to me literally just stopping going to school?
Yeah, no, so he's the middle child. And if anyone knows what middle child syndrome, he's been trying to put this over my head for the longest. I'm like, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't be doing this.
Oh,
If it
so
wasn't
yeah,
for
it's
me,
all it's the
so
reverse. He's
yeah,
the one that
exactly. So
brings
I'm
it
gonna
up.
keep him away from this episode so he doesn't say that.
I'll
But
make
yeah,
sure that so I will go back and I will edit out the butterfly effect question and answer,
there we
and then
go.
I'll wait for him to watch it, and then I'll throw it back in there.
Perfect, perfect. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, because he would not let me live that down.
so we did get through the entire timeline here, from like I said, the early stage to where you are in 2025, and even sprinkled in a few ideas of what you have planned beyond this. I do want to thank you for kind of sharing your story with us here. If you
Of
guys are
course.
watching this on YouTube, we have his name spelled right underneath his face. You can send him a connection request if you are interested, but I can't guarantee you he will accept it. But you can try it nonetheless. If you are interested in seeing more episodes, whatever channel you're watching this on, you can subscribe to it. There's plenty of other episodes on here as well. We appreciate you for tuning in, and Zaire, I appreciate you being here with us as well.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.